So I wanted to direct you to a phone-in that I heard yesterday on the radio. And specifically from about 10 to around 11:30, there was a chat about anxiety amongst children and how it's prevalent in the UK more than ever. And I think it's probably fair to say that this is one of the most important conversations that I've ever heard. Because we're in a really uncertain world when it comes to ironically, me posting on social media to talk to you about the dangers of social media, especially amongst young people, but these principles extend to all of us, really. And I won't dwell too long on it because you just need to listen to this. But one thing that really stood out for me was, you know, when we were growing up, parents were concerned when we were outside a lot. They may have been worried about what we got up to and where we went and that kind of thing. And they would have taken comfort from us being at home. And now these days, it's almost the opposite. Plenty of parents are worried about their kids not doing anything outside, and conversely, or perversely really, nervous about them being indoors on their devices without any real monitoring, kind of being exposed to not a very nice world. As a parent myself, it's a really hard one to navigate. And the reality is that kids don't communicate like we used to. So the idea of banning mobile devices doesn't really work for me. A bit like alcohol perhaps, or drugs or smoking or whatever. I think about moderation in all of these examples. And an ability to try and build up trust to your children so that they don't necessarily stray into problematic areas. So I'll leave it there. Have a look at Global Player and look for the show. If you go on the link direct, which I'll put a couple of links up actually in the bio or in my description for this video. If you go onto the Global Player app, it'll, as it says here on the screen grab, only has a few days left. But you can also find the show on YouTube, and I think that's up there permanently. And whatever you think about him or his politics or anything like that, it's kind of irrelevant. You just need to listen to what the people who have rung in have to say. It's quite the eye-opener, it really is. As I say, it's probably one of the most important conversations that I've ever heard. So I'll pop the links up and would love to hear your thoughts on these as well, of course. There is so much good out there. There is so much good about social media, but the bad stuff is really, really bad. So how do we find the balance? How do we ensure that our young people survive this very strange world? My generation is the last one that straddled the analog and the digital world, and it's bad enough us trying to navigate all of this. How can our kids manage? How can we ensure that social anxieties and a lack of desire to interact with other human beings because you're using your phone or your or your tablet as a proxy social organizer? How can we get away from that? Because at the end of the day, all human beings are social animals who get something out of face-to-face interactions. I have no doubt about that. Anyway, it's probably the most important hour and a half that you can find, and I would urge you to look for the time to listen to the show. It's probably going to be less than an hour and a half because you can skip through all the adverts and all of the news bulletins if you like. As I say, just please listen to this, digest it, take it all in, and you know, we may have to adapt our behaviours.